Hi, I'm Margaux Salcedo, and I'm a writer from the country of one of the greatest professional boxers of all time. This is Manny Pacquiao, world boxing legend. Also an actor who had his own television sitcom. Also Senator of the Republic of the Philippines and presidential contender. Before running for Congress, he had zero experience in politics. But if this still airs in late 2022-2023, he may already be president of the Philippines. Imagine that. World boxing champion becomes senator or even president. How is that possible? Well, I worked as a political campaign media strategist in the Philippines for 12 years. And if there's anything that I have learned, it's that in Philippine politics, anything is possible. After all, it's more fun in the Philippines. But I also learned that it's not as easy as it seems. Manny Pacquiao looks like he just made it because of his popularity as a boxer. His celebrity helped him, sure, but it's his campaign's messaging that made him win. And this is more studied and strategized than it appears. Last December, he already started on an online campaign. You see, Filipinos are the 6th largest user of Facebook in the world, with 76 million users. And in his online campaign, he has emphasized the message, politics is not business, it is public service. To the ordinary eye, this looks like an ordinary Facebook post. But to those in the industry, it is easy to see that this is already a campaign for the presidential elections of 2022. You can easily see that it is a survey-based statement and that the survey said that corruption is still the number one issue or the number one problem in the country. Hence, his message, politics is not business, it is public service. I handled messaging for a senatorial campaign and a presidential campaign. And I learned that if it's a serious candidate with a big budget, all the messages that will be released by his camp will likely come from a survey. And these surveys cost millions. For a senatorial campaign that I handled, we got the top 3 concerns of the people based on a nationwide survey, and then we made our candidate the champion of those 3 concerns. And wherever he went, he would promise to address those 3 issues, plus maybe 1 or 2 local concerns, also based on surveys. Did he care about those issues? It didn't matter, as long as that's what the survey said. Did it work? Well, he won, and he was one of the top 3 senators out of 12 elected in that election. Now, the candidate's narrative is also based on surveys. After an awareness survey, where they determine whether or not you should even consider running for office or consider running for a higher position, there is also something called a likability survey. We had a presidential candidate who was named the richest person in the Philippines in 2019 with an estimated net worth of 250 billion pesos. That is roughly $5 billion. Now, how would the Filipino common folk who earn less than $2 a day possibly relate to somebody who earns billions a day? So his campaign team established a narrative wherein he emerged from the slums, just like the common folk who earned his riches, his billions, through hard work and perseverance. Now, for Manny Pacquiao, his story is already gold because he actually came from poverty. His mother was a part-time laundry woman. He literally experienced having nothing to eat. But through boxing, he made it. But at the height of his boxing career, he also earned a reputation for gambling and womanizing, which he admits. So now they're working on his narrative as a family man, dedicated to public service. If you come back to this video in 2023 and he is president of the Philippines, then you'll know that his narrative worked. Sometimes though, no matter how hard a campaign tries to work with a narrative, the candidate is just not winnable. People just can't seem to relate to them. they lose in what is called a winnability survey, where they ask, if elections were held today, would you vote for candidate A, why, or why not? Now, between an honest to goodness, say, human rights lawyer, who would certainly fight for the rights of the people, but is just so dull and quiet, studious, that he has no charisma, versus a celebrity who has no clue about the laws of the land, but can convince people to vote for him, political parties and supporters would sooner go for the one who would likely win. Proof? 6 out of 24 of our incumbent senators are actors or married to an actor. And another 6 are children of former presidents or senators. And then there's Manny Pacquiao. So 1/4 of our senators are actors who have no background in law or economics or any course related to public service or government. And the other 1/4 are children of political dynasties. It wasn't always this way. There was a time when show business was not a stepping stone to national leadership. Before 1992, when we had our first actor turned senator, our legislators were serious lawmakers. And even then, the actor who was elected senator had already served 17 years as mayor before running for the Senate. But it seems that after seeing that the formula of the celebrity, even if unqualified, works, political parties and supporters have since encouraged it. And then in the festivities of the campaign, made to feel like a big fiesta or party or concert, when the celebrities give their entertainment and the politicians make their promises, amidst the poverty of the people, given that window of happiness, it is forgotten that in the long term, these very people who pose themselves as the savior of the poor would in the end continue to be the cause of the nation's suffering. How do we change this? Here's the thing. The only one who can turn this around is the voter himself. So we need to reset the mind of the voter. First, on the definition of power. Today, the mindset is when you think of who is in power, you think the president, the senators, the congressmen, the government officials. But the Constitution is very clear. Nothing can be passed without the mandate of the people. Politicians are powerless if not authorized by the people. So the power is not with the politician. Power lies in the citizen, the voter, you. That is why the ballot is so important. Which brings me to the second point, the mindset on the purpose of your vote. Oftentimes, it is considered just an expression of support, as in a beauty contest. That is why many celebrities win. That is why when candidates campaign, they often say, please support me, as if it was just any other contest. But the value of the vote is more than that. It is an assignment of your right to make decisions for the nation for that period of time. It is a kind of transfer of power from yourself to the candidate, just like a special power of attorney. Now, when you give a special power of attorney to someone, an SPA, or when you allow someone to represent you in anything, the first thing that you do is to make sure that this person is someone you can trust, right? You do a background check. You ask for a curriculum vitae or a biodata. You find out if he has the competence for the job, not whether he can sing or dance. You find out if you can trust him. You ask for references. You check whether or not he has a criminal record. Does he have any cases pending in court? In the 2019 senatorial elections, would you believe 13 candidates had actual pending cases, complaints, or probes for various cases, ranging from plunder to graft to to disbarment, and yet 6 of these candidates with cases won and are senators today. It is also important to check their track record. For legislators, what laws have they passed? One of the candidates whose media campaign I handled was a lawmaker who was known for being an intellectual, an academic achiever. In fact, he is a lawyer, very eloquent, and on every issue, he took a stand. He spoke on every news channel, every television program, and defended the people. By this time, he had been a member of Congress for 15 years. So I suggested that we highlight the laws that he had passed. But when we checked, we discovered that he had authored no laws. None. 0. He projected himself as a defender of the poor, but he had not passed one single law in his 15 years as lawmaker. But who's going to tell us that they're not doing their job? Certainly not the politicians. That is why it is incumbent upon us, the voters, to do the tracking. Now, you would think that in the information age, that would be easier because you can find all the information that you need just by clicking and browsing on the web. But this is where it gets complicated because campaigns have mastered the art of deception and demagoguery on the World Wide Web as well. Aside from the basic calling card page, your official website, your official social media pages that have the candidate's biography and press releases, the campaign masters have employed a few new tricks as well that now, thanks to social media, go straight directly into the hearts and minds and subconscious of the voters. You might be aware of trolls who have anonymous or fake accounts with no names. They are attack dogs of their clients. Some even have troll armies, hired persons who create 20 or more accounts to disseminate whatever message you give to them or attack whoever you want them to. There are also, aside from the legit influencers who are okay, paid influencers who use their own name and account, but they are fed information and scripts to make them sound authoritative and credible. They are kind of like informal spokespersons of the candidates. And then there are those who don't even know that they have already become trolls. A veteran journalist whom I know, who is supposed to be neutral, as the job dictates, started becoming very vocal on her personal wall about certain issues that she felt were an injustice, which is fair. The problem is, the more that you post something, the more that Facebook and other platforms feed you with similar content and information. And before you know it, your observations have turned into indignance, which is still okay, but soon your indignance turns into anger. And then the anger turns into hate. And soon, because of this hate, she was not only believing this information, but spewing them out herself. You might be aware of social seeding, an online marketing process wherein quality content is showcased on highly visible platforms like blogs or YouTube channels or e-newsletters. But dirty campaigns seed and sow other things. They sow hate. You see posts, stories, or memes on things you might not like about their opponent, whether it be something important like government inaction, or it can even be something mundane like the candidate's hair or the candidate's diction. And then they make these go viral. And the problem with the algorithm is that the more you click on that post, the more you share it, soon the more you hate. They sow also distrust. They put fake accusations in media or even fake charges in court. They sow disgust by attacking the dignity of well-respected candidates, complete with made-up scandals. They sow divisiveness, where they attribute everything that is bad to the opponent and give them a label. Soon you are no longer thinking based on issues, but on labels. One group can do no wrong, the other group can do no right. Then you miss that actually on certain issues, this senator actually did a good job. Or on this issue, the president was actually wrong. Because with labels and hate, you blindly categorize in terms of labels. So you shut the doors to discourse and critical thinking. That is why now more than ever, as the information age has greatly empowered the individual and given each of us a voice, it is incumbent upon each of us to make a conscious effort to be more discerning, not only about the information that we absorb, but also about the information that we share. Otherwise, you fall into the trap of just becoming another troll. Then you are not helping society, you are just hating it. And this is my final point. In the new normal, where we practically live online, while it is important to be socially aware, don't fall into the trap of labels and the trap of hate. Hate can only beget hate, so don't add your voice to that noise. Labels such as the DDS for the administration and the Dilawans for the opposition in the Philippines only serve to polarize and paralyze, and you fall once again into the trap of campaigns as you stop your critical thinking as a voter and judge based on labels and hate. In fact, what you need to do is to make a conscious effort to refrain from being dragged into and sharing the hate so that we can end the social media polarization that leads to real-life divisiveness and national disunity. Instead, make a conscious effort to look at all sides of an issue before judging a politician, and as Pope Francis advised in his latest encyclical Fratelli Tutti, which touched on politics, be open to discourse. When the world turns dark because of hate, it is only through discourse that we might find sparks of light. Hopefully, given this renewed mindset, we can regain that culture of citizen empowerment, of responsible voting, of critical thinking that will bring us back to a world where we have leaders who can actually lead, and miraculously, politicians that we can trust.